love this kid. But you give this kid to me for a year, we just gotta redirect him. I think he's got a lot of intelligence, but not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. A lot of creativity. I think he does care about people. He's made a lot of really stupid mistakes, but he just needs to be redirected in the right direction. You know why I love him? Because he has that little headshot where he's like this. He's just a kid. He's a dumb kid. Nobody's gotten hurt as far as I can tell.
How do you know? There were stories of him treating women with serious medical conditions. He had no idea what he was doing. In the meantime, they get sicker and sicker. I never thought I'd say this, but Lisa Bloom, honey, so naive of you. Come on now. Now, that teen was just busted for cashing checks he stole from an elderly woman, $35,000. We just heard from a reporter, another $40,000 in another city, which the police are, I guess, alleging it's still allegations at this point. We're back with Rolanda, Sarah, Aaron, and Mike. The Palm Beach County, Florida Sheriff's Office tweeted this after Malachi's second arrest. Quote, just because you saw a season of Grey's Anatomy doesn't mean you can practice medicine. Or as I like to say, your Google search is not the same as my medical degree. It's just not the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. We also have some tape of his business partner here where he was sort of befuddled. And if you'd please advance, thank you. After he was arrested for opening a fake medical practice, I want to show you this interview with his befuddled former business partner. Take a look.
He told me he was a natural doctor, so I didn't know anything about natural doctors and what they do. So I just took him at the word and seeing all the certifications and his degree from some state, Arizona State, and transcripts. And, so
wow.
What can I say? I mean,
were you surprised?
I don't know much about it.
Were you surprised when he was arrested?
Was I? Oh, yeah.
And Sarah, now false documents that this guy is alleging from Arizona State. They're, naturopathic doctors have certain licensing procedures they go through. I'm sure he could be claiming whatever. He can claim anything he wants, but the state has an obligation to set a certain set of standards for people they license. And if you don't qualify for those standards, you're practicing without a license.
Right, and he did claim, and again, of course, he has to prove his claims, but he did claim that he had a slew of certificates from...
He said a PhD.
A PhD from an unknown, in an unknown field, from an unknown school. But he did say he had training in naturopathic medicine and that he has certificates. Now, if he is such a big fraudster, as it's sort of being revealed, then probably those certificates are of no good. But, this is a kid who's gotten around the standards and the law.
This is the thing that bothers me.
Everything about this bothers me.
Everything. But what really concerns me is reportedly this 86-year-old woman had a very bad stomach ache. She went online, found this guy, and started being treated by him. He reportedly gave her a vitamin, which did nothing for her stomach ache, as he's writing checks to pay for his car on her bank account.
Yeah, this is way more than him being a fraudster. Like, this is very serious. What if some woman went in and had cancer or something, and he gives her a bill of health and says, you're fine?
Well, by the way, 87-year-old abdominal pain is a very, very serious situation. It's a medical situation that can imply many different very serious problems. It requires a rather extensive workup. Joining me now, Andrew Stein. He's the attorney for the teen. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. My question is, what do we do with these allegations of practicing without a license?
Well, regarding the practicing without a license, I think you have to look at this as a fact-specific type of case. The undercover officer who entered the facility that was going to be opened as a medical doctor's office or a medical clinic was there to make an arrest. With that being said, Mr. Love Robinson told her several times with a witness present that he was not a medical doctor, and that if she would want to come back when the doctor was going to be there, they would like to make an appointment for her, and she refused. With that being said, she went into the office, and he told her, according to all of the evidence that we have, that when he feels as if he has a sore throat or he has a sore throat, what he does is take an over-the-counter allergy pill. With that being said, he was in a lab coat, allegedly had a stethoscope around his neck, took her weight, possibly took
Andrew,
her blood
let me
pressure.
interrupt you. Let me interrupt you because I've gone to many states and questioned them about what the licensing standards are. I have 2 board certifications. I've been licensed in California for 30 years, more than 30 years. I don't want to think about how many years it's been. And a couple times I've been asked to go to other states and do things. And I've contacted the state's licensing boards in Texas and Florida. My question was, you know, to what extent can I come to your state and interact with people and not be in trouble? And every state I've questioned said the following thing: wait, you're coming to our state, you're talking to somebody, and based on the words that come out of your mouth, they're doing something, you're practicing medicine without a license. Wow. And that's somebody who's board certified in 2 different boards. Now, they don't want me there. So I can just imagine what they're going to feel about this kid.
And I fully understand what you're saying, but he did not hold himself out to the undercover agent.
Not holding out, not holding out. You're coming to our state, you say something, they do something, you're practicing medicine without a license. Period, end of story. That's what every licensing board I've spoken to has said exactly the same thing. You say something, they do it, it's a license. It's practicing without a license. So even if I were to say, you know, I've got hypertension and I take the following medication, that's what I do, and they take the medication, that's practicing medicine.
And I understand what you're saying if you held yourself out to be a doctor.
I don't have a license in that state, so I can't. Even though I have two board certifications. But if I came in with a stethoscope and a white coat on, even though I didn't hold my say I'm a doctor,
False advertising.
I wonder what an 87-year-old will think about that. I don't know.
And you're right about that. And, you know, that under those pretenses, it's a fact-specific case, and it's going to be up to a jury to decide whether or not they believe it's reasonable for the individual, meaning the undercover officer, to believe that he was practicing medicine.
Sarah, you've been very sympathetic. Now, is it really, is it a jury? Is it going to go to jury? Is just the state licensing board just going to find somebody? That's what.
Well, no, there's 2 things going on here. I mean, if he was licensed, then he would be facing a proceeding before the state licensing board.
Okay,
but he's not licensed, so he's going to be prosecuted
for practicing without.
Yeah,
but what if I go to Florida and I do something and somebody does something? I'm practicing without a license in that state.
Right, and you're going to be answerable to the board in California for.
Won't I also be prosecuted for practicing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And plus, if the lady allegedly went on the internet and found him, then he was advertising that he could help her stomach ache, and therefore he.
Well, to be fair, we don't know that. We don't know. Listen. One of the problems with dealing with very elderly people, I mean, the whole field of geriatrics is about trying to get people that may not have the same perceptions and cognition or vision. They can't be. She might not be able to see what was on the internet. I mean, I'm sympathetic to that, but that's all the more reason why we have to protect people from folks that may not be. At 87 with abdominal pain, that is a potentially life-threatening problem. It's cancer until proven otherwise. It's a bowel obstruction until proven otherwise. I mean, this is really serious stuff. Thank God that woman turned out okay. So I guess, Sarah, I know you're very sympathetic to this kid, but as the attorney was saying, it's a fact-specific situation, right? It's really going to boil down to the facts.
It is a fact-specific situation, but it's not limited with all of his conduct. Stethoscope with the going into the hospital.
You're the defense attorney, Sarah. That's not holding me. I'm not saying I'm a doctor. Just because I have a stethoscope and a white coat on, what does that mean?
Well, I beg to differ with his lawyer on that.
Right, it could be an audition.
I beg to differ with his lawyer on that.
And Mike, you had questions about what it was that Aaron and I were fighting about.
Yeah, it's super interesting. So I'm into politics, you're into law, and these 2 doctors here are talking about what they think it is, and you said it's auditorial hallucinations, and you said something else. I said, what is this stuff? So this happened during the break, so let's bring it live.
All right, real quick, Aaron, you think it's bipolar disorder mania?
Perhaps,
What is
yes.
it? Perhaps. Charlie Sheen had hypomania. Okay. That was winning. That was it's very inflated. Very speech is usually pressure. He doesn't have the pressure speech, but he has the grandiosity, and he has these sort of inflated thinking, inflated sense of himself. And
I'm a doctor. Of course I can.
Sometimes it's a mood disturbance. It's a particular biology of the brain, as opposed to what we've said in the past this could be, which is a disorder of one of these regions here up here in this region of the brain, where there's actually a genetic problem and they don't perceive things normally. normally, and they can go out there and really not understand they're having consequences that other people not understand they're doing something wrong, and really have only their self-interest, and what's gratifying to them is what they perceive as what's worthwhile, but they can also be manipulative. And
So no empathy, obviously.
That sounds like what he is.
yeah, it's more in the sociopathic realm. But I mean, you know, possibly he can be treated. I'd certainly not Lisa Bloom for a year. That's not going to do it, Lisa. I'm sorry. Thank you, everybody. Next up, a student takes a teacher's phone and then shares